So this here is the remaining gasoline that was drained from the tank by my good friend Chris, the magician. And I'll try and get this light in a way that you can see actually, like that bottom layer there is the water and that top part is gasoline. So, you know, a good quarter of the tank, the remaining tank that was in there, was actually full of water. Okay, so what I've done is I've stripped out all of the interior, anything that sort of had any fabric or any backing or anything like that, any sort of jute. And so the idea is to get all that out and then give it a real good spray with the water blaster. I've had this dehumidifier here probably running full time for the last 3 days, and I've got heaps of litres of water out, so this thing has to be pretty much bone dry. As you can see, there's pretty much nothing in here which has fabric. I've left the dash in at this point in time, and I'm just basically accessing all of the connectors one by one and cleaning them out. So what I'm doing here is, like, this is a real good example of one of the connectors. This has to be done to pretty much every connector in the car. So go in here, you can see that there's a bit of tarnish and a bit of corrosion on the actual pins of the connector, and we want to get rid of that. So this one isn't too bad. There's not sort of any sort of green stuff, you know, sort of forming on there, but you know, there's still a little bit of corrosion there, so we want to get rid of that. So the first thing I do is just clean up all around it, make sure that there's no dirt or contamination on the connector itself, and once that's done, you know, and you make sure it's bone dry, like it has to be absolutely dry, or you use a you know, a product to sort of drive the moisture out. And once that's actually done, then what we want to do is to deoxidize those pins. So to do that, I've got some deoxidizing product here. These guys aren't paying me or anything like that. I've just found that it works through some testing. And so what I want to do is, see if I can hold this, is just give it a good spray and let it sit. This particular stuff here, it's oil based, which is, like, you know, a bit different for me. And what it does is it lifts off the oxidization and kind of suspends it in that oil. So that's why that one works for me. And what I do is just let it sit for a little bit, and then I get like a sort of a soft brush, or even like an old toothbrush or something like that, and just get in there and really agitate it, So make sure it's all agitated up. So once you've gone over it first time, and it's just starting to look a lot cleaner now. If it still looks like it's got some oxidization there, you can give it another blast with the deox. Give it a good spray. Give it another agitation if you need to. Okay, so once I've done that, the last step is using a contact cleaner. So just grab normal contact cleaner. This is from the same crowd. Basically just go in there and give it a good spray. Give it a good douse. It's not going to hurt if you put heaps in there. And then, as you can see, those pins are cleaned up heaps from before. They're looking a lot better, and that's pretty much good to go. So, you know. So first of all, going around the table, here is the fuse box that lives in the engine bay, and the reason why I replaced this is basically pull this out. You see there, it's a bit of corrosion on the contacts. Sorry, the terminals, and this is the relay here. So
Yes, you can clean that off, but chances are that relay has been compromised with moisture and may fail down the track. Same goes for all the fuses as well. It's likely that they're corroded. Which brings us to the fuse box, which is the one that sits inside the cabin of the car. So if we take one of the relays here, I've actually pulled it apart a bit earlier just to have a look at it and see what we're actually dealing with. Popped off. So see all that corrosion there. So that relay there is, yeah, it may work now, but chances are it's going to stop working in the future. So have a look at the can that it was in. So all that corrosion and filth that was in there is now sitting on those contacts. So try pulling out one of these fuses. And a lot of corrosion there as well. So the other side of the relay box, just pulling that off, and you can see inside here there's evidence of some corrosion. Some of those terminals are quite dirty, and so another reason why this needs to be swapped out. For the price of it, it's best just to get rid of it and get a known good one in. Right, the next part that gave me some issues was the BCM. Okay, so this is responsible for controlling all your doors and bits and pieces that the body needs to run. Now, I originally tried cleaning this out and reconditioning it, but in the end, it's powered up. But it wouldn't do certain things, like I wasn't getting 12 volts for the for this guy here, the PATS module, and so I basically had to get another BCM to replace it. So that one there was toast, along with the PATS module as well. This here is the HVAC control system, so controls all your flaps and demisters and all that sort of stuff. That's the internals there. So really badly corroded. Yeah, there's some not very happy components there. If we look at that motor there, that's pretty bad. And so this definitely needs to be swapped out. So this can't be used. So the way that it's mounted in the car, it's kind of sitting like this next to the HVAC unit. And any water that was in there, obviously it's not tight, watertight or anything, would have just sat there for a long time, sitting around the bottom here, corroding out all of these components. So not very reliable after that. The next major part that I had to change out was the cluster. So I did try and clean that out using contact cleaner and deoxidizing agents. But unfortunately it had been powered up while it was wet, and so there were a few failed components there. It was unable to trigger the starting relay, and so essentially it was giving a whole bunch of other faults as well. Fuel pump issues and things like that. It was reporting on a whole bunch of things that weren't actually sort of wrong, and so this one here had to be swapped out as well. Originally swapped it out with a turbo cluster, but that wouldn't work with the normally aspirated XR6 BCM. So essentially we had to swap, get another like for like XR6 normally aspirated cluster to take its place. So the cool thing is, a good friend of mine, Chris, was able to code the new cluster along with a replacement BCM. We were able to use the existing PCM in the car that was completely in good condition and completely dry, so that's great. And code in a couple of replacement keys as well for the vehicle. along with the replacement PATS module. So those were the components needed to basically get it to the point where it could be cranked. So I guess, where are we now with this car? Let's go have a look.